Okay, I think you can see where I'm going. The Interdictor is going to be the third ship in my custom Imperial fleet. Interdictor is probably my favorite model out of the box of any of the Armada ships in terms of the model. The ISD one, the ISD I like a lot, although I always convert them to ISD 1s. So out of the box, as they sit, probably the Interdictor is my favorite. After conversion, I like the ISD probably a little bit more, but this is a great ship. It's unique in several ways. It's got the spine running down the middle and the grav wells that we're going to try and highlight with some red, similar to the upgrade cards. It has the grav wells in the bottom as well. We'll do those as well, although the bottom we don't worry quite as much about. Of the three ships that I've done, this is going to be the first one with a larger hangar bay, so we'll work on that, but again, not a huge concern because it's underneath the ship. It does have this raised bit in the middle, which is going to be interesting because when I line this, and I might line this a little bit differently than the other two with the purple, it's probably going to cross over this some, so it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Again, it's the bottom of the ship. Not terribly concerned about it, but I do want it to look decent. Otherwise, I heard somebody refer to this as the sandwich section of the ship, which kind of makes sense. That's similar across pretty much all of the Imperial ships that FFG does. The bridge is a little bit different, but that's not going to cause us too much trouble. I think what we're going to do, the base coat first, then we're going to do the grav wells and the spine, then probably we'll do our purple lining. Then, if it all goes, no, we're also going to glaze the grav wells, try and make them pop a little bit more. Then we'll wash it and dry brush it and see how it goes. Because of the spine here and some of the tougher parts to get with the Mechanicus gray that I've been doing again in this sandwich part of the ship, like underneath this raised bit, I do expect there's going to be a fair amount of touch up on this one as we move along. So I'll try and point that out as it happens, because I don't really mind showing you my mistakes, because I always feel like they can be fixed, and I don't want anyone too concerned about making a mistake. So let's get to the base coat. I've already prepared my paint, and just a quick reminder, I'll always mix with a fair amount of water, thin out your paints a little bit. You don't want gloppy paint getting onto your ship. It just won't look very good. And if you thin it out too much, it's not that big a deal. You may have to go back for a second coat, but I'd rather do a second coat of thin paint than do a thick gloppy coat that is very difficult to repair, because it'll fill in the lines. And if you don't thin it out much at all, if it's gloppy, you could fill in some of the lines almost like putty, and you don't want that. You want those lines to keep their integrity. So let's get painting the base coat. Okay, so I'm gonna do the spine and the circles, similar to the way that the upgrade cards are. Obviously, I'm not going to light them up, but I've actually done a trial on the bottom already, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to go with a more solid color like Mephiston red. But what I've decided to do is go with a glaze, bloodletter glaze. It's a little bit lighter. It is hard to get into the grooves there. I've had to go back and touch up on some of the screaming skull around the edges, and I'm going to continue to do that, and the final dry brush will clean it up very well. But that's what I'm going to go with. I like it because it's not quite a really even coat necessarily. You can see some of the screaming skull through it, which I think gives it a little bit more of a light up type of a look. So we're going to continue on, do that to the top, to the 4 grab walls on the top and the spine. Okay, I'm gonna go in with the purple highlights now. You can notice the masking's a little bit different this time. I'm trying to go with a double line, one a little bit thicker, one a little bit thinner. And we'll see how it goes. The lines do go over these grab walls. See how well a seal it's made there. Probably gonna have to go back and touch that up. Same with the back. You know, this bit here is tricky with the raised parts. I can't quite get the tape in contact with a few spots down there, so I'm expecting I will have to come back and do something with that. I'm not exactly sure what yet. Alright, I didn't have the camera rolling, but I was able to clean up the lines fairly well. They're really hard to film. I like to get in close on them, and it just looks silly. I mostly free-handed it. I did try and use a straight edge from time to time to try and clean them up where I could, but that was mostly just down here. Once we got up the grav walls, it was much more difficult, but they seem to be pretty good. So right now I am going to do the Mechanicus gray on the sides and the back. There are no turbo lasers on this, so we're not going to do anything for that. Alright, so I'm about to do my wash. I've prepared my wash again, about 50-50 water and Nuln oil. I'm going to start on the bottom as usual. I did go back, touched up a lot after the doing the gray. It was quite the challenge to get everything cleaned up, but I think it cleaned up fairly well. So we're going to do the wash, and then we're going to do a little dry brushing. Going to dry brush some gray into the hanger bay, some light gray into the hangar bay, and then dry brush all of the Screaming Skull to soften it up a bit after the wash, engine glow, and should be done. And again, I'm going to start on the bottom just in case it's a little bit dark. Alright, I tried to zoom in for you a little bit here. The wash is all dry. What we're going to do now is we're going to do our dry brush. We're going to start with our Screaming Skull dry brush. We're also going to do a light gray dry brush just to highlight some of the hangar bay. I'm not going to kind of worry too much about that, as it's not anything that anybody sees all that much, so we won't worry about that too much. But we're gonna go in with the Screaming Skull, do a really light dry brush. Just a reminder on the dry brush, you're trying to get paint on your brush and you're gonna work almost all of it out again, and then you just kind of go over everything. I do try and avoid the purple a little bit, but if you're doing it right, you shouldn't have to worry too much about the other colors too much. It's getting a little bit of paint on the high spots, and it's just kind of highlighting, brightening it up a little bit, softening it down, and making it pop a little bit. And almost forgot last bit, engine glow in the back. Got the 4 little engines and the big engine. This does have a kind of a secondary recessed engine. Not secondary, but it's kind of like a cowling and a cowling. I'm just going to do that inner cowling. I'm not going to come all the way out. It's just a slightly different engine design than some of the other ships. And and these little ones are kind of the same way. They have this double cowling. And just, if you're interested, this is Lothern Blue, which is what I use for almost all my engine glow. I like it. It relatively close match to the FFG blue engine glow. I don't try and fade it or anything. You know, some of them, like in the Star Destroyer, they fade a little bit from white into the blue. I don't bother with that. It's just too much trouble for me. I like to take things as simple as I possibly can. So Interdictor is pretty much done. I'm gonna cut here and we'll probably cut to a few glamour shots, and then maybe line up the 3 that we've done so far. And coming up soon, I got my Star Destroyer ISD-1 bridge here. Got another one, and I've also got a couple of these surveillance ships. I can't remember the name of them again, but I use these for my Gazantes. So I'll get to these eventually too, but the Star Destroyer is going to be next. And I'm planning to do something a little bit different with the Star Destroyer. I'll probably have the single video just like these, but I'm probably also going to do long form versions of each step along the way. from priming, base coating, the details, all of that kind of stuff, and talk through the whole thing just as a really detailed explanation. I won't do the conversion again. I already have a ISD1 conversion available, so that part I will be doing off camera just to speed it along a little bit. All of the stuff that I do on camera adds that little bit much more time for me doing things, and eventually I need to get back to these squads, which I've let sit there for a while. So thank you very much. Good to some glam shots. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I plan to be trying to do about a video a week for the next little while, and occasionally more often if something comes up, but I'm shooting for at least one a week on a regular schedule. Not sure which day, what time yet, but that's what I'm looking for. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.